Hello everybody, I'm Angelica. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today is a really exciting video. I am going to be sharing with you my new craft room. So we're going to do a walkthrough. I'm going to show you the products that I keep in my room, what I keep at arm's length, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. I've not done a video like this before, so I'm going to try to keep the chatting to a minimum, but when it comes to crafts, I could just talk all day. So just know there's going to be a lot of talking coming. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this all in one video or in two videos because I still have a couple baskets that I need to unpack, and I have a basket that I have to pack. So that might be put in a second video. So I will let you know towards the end if I'm running out of time. I'll split the videos up. With that said, why don't we just jump right into the craft room? We're going to start with this side of the cabinet with stamps and dies. This is my greetery section, and I have them all organized by categories, and I use these dividers that I got from the stamp market to break the sections up. So the top, this basket is the dies that I use the most, the dies and stamps that I use the most. So I have them at a more eye to eye or eye level. So I'm not like bending over a lot trying to find the stamp or the die that I am needing. So this is more all year round stamps and dies. I do keep the birthday section in the back, and then I have sentiments and nested dies. The botanic cuts that the greetery is very well known for is right here, front and center. If I ever want to die cut a flower or a carrot or anything that is layered, that is going to be found in this first section. Over here, I do have just my more general sentiment stamps in the front. This is a great stamp set to show. This is the all occasion script sentiments. It's in this beautiful script font. I don't know if you can see that. And then there's congratulations, make a wish, happy anniversary, with sympathy, happy birthday. So there's just a lot of themes in this stamp set. And then there is a coordinating die. This is how I do store all of my stamp sets in an Avriel pocket. I get mine off of Amazon, and then I also get magnet sheets off of Amazon, and I will leave links for those down below. I also picked up these baskets off of Amazon too. I'm not sure if you can get these in a store, but I found them on Amazon, and I was very happy because they're just a perfect fit for all of my stamps and dies. Even though I now have my own craft room, I still only have limited room, and I have a lot of product. Also in this row, I keep all of my nested dies, and these are definitely the most used dies in my stash. I don't really cut my panels. I use rectangle dies to die cut my panels for me. I just think they look nicer. The dies kind of round the edges of the paper, and I just love the look. So I recommend, if you want to get some nesting dies, support your favorite company, and you really only need one set. This is my set that I have. And I bought these 5 years ago, I think, from My Favorite Things. And this is the A2 rectangle. I have set 1 and set 2. So each set is 1/4 inch in size, working from the tallest to the smallest. And then the other set is also 1/4 size, but when you put the sets together, they're 1/8 inch separated, if that makes sense. So again, you don't have to have 5 different companies' nested dies. Just, if you have a favorite company that has these, support them. So now down here, these are more seasonal stamps and dies, Christmas, Thanksgiving, even spring and summer. My red rubber stamps from the greetery is also down here. And then in the very back of this row, I have the stamp market. Moving on to the left side, I do have a few more companies over here, but the other company that I work very closely with, I love their products, I love the team so much, and that is scrapbook.com. So I have all of my scrapbook.com stamps and dies in this row, and again, I have them organized by dividers. Now my printer broke and I have not bought a new printer. I'm still kind of on the fence if I want to do that or not. So they're not labeled, but I know in my head what the categories are. So there's, you know, summer and Halloween and Christmas and birthdays. I also have Sunny Studio stamps and Pretty Pink Posh. I have a small selection of Tim Holtz dies. In fact, I have some Christmas dies that I need to play with. Scrapbook.com sent me these Christmas dies right before the situation that happened in my old work area. And I had to shut down like really quickly, pack everything up, get out of the basement because we had some major water damage. So I haven't played with those yet, but that is coming soon. And then down here, I have just more companies. Some I've designed for, others I've just bought. I don't spend too much money on stamps and dies just because I have so much that is given to me by companies. I pretty much just stick with those stamps and dies and then put my money into like supplies and embellishments and whatnot. So stamps and dies are covered. Up here I have some bins. These I've also bought at IKEA years ago, and I keep like my alcohol ink products in here. I have my Copic refills for my Copic markers in here, and I pretty much have the whole rainbow. Though I have not colored with my Copic markers in a couple years. What I do with the refills, because they are alcohol inks, is I use them on Christmas ornaments. So they're not collecting dust like my markers are. But I promised my daughter I would teach her how to color. So I pulled my markers back out when we moved into the space, and I now have them on my desk. I also keep extra adhesive in these bins. And so in this bin, I have all of my rollers, and I do use Ziploc bags a lot. That's just how I've always organized. I also have friendship bracelets. My daughter and we were able to go to 2 Taylor Swift concerts, one in Seattle and one in Stockholm, Sweden. And all of the friendship bracelets that we got at those concerts that we traded with, I did put them up. And you know what? Vera doesn't even know that they're missing, but I put them up because I wanted her to have them later. They are very special bracelets. So that's where I keep them hidden. Over here, I have stack and sort trays. These are from scrapbook.com. I use these all the time. It's just such a great way to keep your die cuts separated, especially for me. I do so much die cutting. So these are, they're great to have. Oh, and look at this. I also have an old stamping platform that I will never get rid of. It's not on sale. They don't sell it anymore, but this is the Tonic / Tim Holtz stamping platform. And I did buy this before it went off the market. So I love this. Again, I won't ever get rid of that. Okay, now we are at the paper towers, and I bought these paper towers a few years ago from Stampin' Storage. They were a bit pricey. I can't remember the full price. I can't remember if they were like $200 each or $200 together, but I thought it was a fantastic investment, especially because I have so much cardstock. Do you need this much? Absolutely not. But I used to design for a lot of companies, and if a company has their own paper line, I would just buy it or they would send it to me. So I have my favorite things, who I was with for 2 years. I have their rainbow collection. I have Concord and Ninth, the Stamp Market, Tailored Expressions, and then Basil is down on the bottom. Basil I do buy at Joann's when they have open stock sales. I also have a lot of white cardstock. I do mainly use Nina Solar White, 80 pound and 110 pound. I do have some Hammermill. I have printer paper just in case I do end up getting another printer. And then at the very bottom, I can't really see, but at the very bottom, that is my daughter's rack. So her papers are down there. She can pull from that rack at any time. I don't really let her pull full papers out of the rainbows up here, but each section has their own folder, and this is what I put my paper scraps in. And I try and keep these organized. Like here I have the pink and the reds, and this is Concord and Ninth, so I will put all of my Concord and Ninth scraps in this folder, whereas in this folder, this is all the Stamp Market. And again, I got these at Stamp and Storage. Since I am already on the ground, I'm just going to show you the bottom part of my IKEA unit. I don't really have a lot of organization going on down here. I just kind of put everything in here, and when it's time to start moving product to make room for new product, I'll probably make this a bit more organized. But I just have my watercolor pencils. I have Pixie spray back here. I do keep my Ziploc bags all together because I reuse them. And also when I get a new collection that I've bought and I'm going to use on my own time, I wouldn't be using this for a project for a company, I keep them in these pouches so they just stay together, and then when I'm ready to use them I can just pull that out. And let's see, this goes with this 12 by 12 Groovy Darling. When I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, I have to have it. It's just very retro papers. I love the colors. And I did buy a couple open stock papers, and I bought all of this from scrapbook.com. They do sell pads, 12 by 12 pads, and then they also have an amazing open stock selection too. And I actually got to go to scrapbook.com's warehouse and hang out with the team for a day, and they walked me through the warehouse, and I mean, it was really, really impressive. But the open paper area, it was definitely my favorite. So, and down here, I actually have these really big Sizzix dies. Again, stuff that I will not get rid of. This is just going to be with me forever. Most of these are flowers, and I used them when I bought them to make felt flowers to put on headbands for my daughter. They turned out so cute. Also, I have a box that I keep down here, and this is just full of white paper scraps. My 12 by 12 open stock I kept in the middle. Now, since I'm not pulling paper all the time, I did put them on the bottom. I used to have them up here, but I just felt it was just best for them to be down here. And I do have these categorized by companies or by theme. So we got more just non-holiday up here. I do have my open stock, colored cardstock, again, Basil, that I get at Joann's, and then Christmas. All down here is Christmas. For this side in the doors, I have alcohol inks, ink pad refills. I have Zig markers in the back. I have lots of mason jars for when I'm watercoloring. And I have my watercolor papers. All of my specialty papers are down here. Now we're going to get into the drawers. I'm just going to do this really quickly. This is where I keep my Misties. I do have 3 Misties. 2 were given to me, one from my Sweet Petunia, and scrapbook.com sent me this beautiful rose quartz Misty. And then I have my original Misty I bought many years ago. But I do use 2 Misties a lot because This is my most used Misty, but there is a grip mat in here. There's a waffle flower full-size grip mat in here, so I can't do any background stamps with red rubber stamps. They're just too thick. So I will pull out another Misty to do my background stamping. I also have my open stock pencils. These are polychromo pencils. When my pencils for my pencil case get low, I have a backup. And then reading glasses, I have reading glasses everywhere. As you can see, I had to put my glasses on because I just have a really hard time seeing up close. This is something also that I keep out. I'm not sure if I showed this or not, but this is the 6x6 waffle flower grip mat that I do most of my stenciling on. In this drawer, I keep all of my adhesives. And then in this little container, I keep my foam adhesive. I do use a lot of scrapbook.com's foam adhesive, but before they had their 1mm foam available, I did use thin foam strips from Scrapbook Adhesives. I buy these on Amazon, and then once I open a package, I just stick them in here in this little container. I got this container, I think, at TJ Maxx. And the packages of the thin squares, I actually buy, well, I was buying them on Amazon. I think you can get 5 in a pack, which is cheaper than buying them individually. So this is where I keep my adhesive, and I do have the 1mm foam circles from scrapbook.com in here. This is where I keep my card bases and my card panels. I also have my Distress ink cubes, baby wipes. I have the Distress pencils in here. And then in the very back, one of my 2 small die cut machines. And I love this machine. It's been with me for a long time. It's absolutely, I pull it out quite often. And then I have cutting boards, and I have a backup brand new cutting board. In this drawer, I keep all of my Distress ink handles, foams, sponge daubers, and the newer colors I just keep on their handles. And I use this divider. I can't even remember what came in that divider. Oh, I think since I make bath bombs with my daughter, and we bought a whole bunch of essence oils, and this was how they delivered the essence oil. So I thought that would be perfect for my handles. And then for my pads, I keep them in this little folder, and I got this idea from Amy R on YouTube. She was one of the first card making channels that I watched back in 2016, and she gave me a lot of ideas on how to do your storage. And then these are my shams that I use to clean my stamps. If I know I'm done stamping or crafting for a couple days, I do air dry them so they're super stiff, but with water they become very soft again. The last drawer is probably my favorite drawer in my desk, and this is my watercolor drawer. I do have a color wheel. I actually find this really handy to have. I have a swatch book that I have done for all of the colors in my collection, and I used the waffle flower stamp set to do all of my organizing for my swatches. I also have a journal, and this is another place where I swatch my colors. So that umbrella stamp that I showed you, that's what I stamp on my pages. I paint each color on the umbrella. I label them. I put the pigment numbers down. And then, you know, for this one, I did Pyrrole Scarlet and Hansa Yellow Light, and just kind of met in the middle. Just put a little bit of the yellow into the red until I got all the way back to the yellow. This is just a fun way of doing color theory, seeing how different colors mix together. And I would much rather do this than paint something. I just find pigments so interesting, and I just love mixing and matching and seeing what they can do together. So I still need to do my blacks and my browns. But again, you come back onto this side, I have already done a lot of color mixing. So, and this is a Paul Rubin hot pressed watercolor journal that I got off of Amazon. And I am not a fan of hot press watercolor paper, but for some reason, this paper is so good to paint on. I just love it. Now I have lots of palettes in here. Here's some more. Whenever I'm going to do a project, I do swatch out the colors just to make sure that they go well together. So I do a lot more practicing. This is an Altenew stamp that I was playing around with. Okay, so palettes. I have quite a few palettes. Do you need this many? Absolutely not. But I do have a lot because I split my colors with another crafter. So if you have a crafting friend, I do recommend splitting your supplies with them if you can, because then you can stretch your money out a lot. So this is a really small Daniel Smith palette that I have, and I will show why I bought this in a couple minutes because I have a book that goes with that. But the Daniel Smith is what I have swatched in my journal. And the reason why I'm swatching them out is I love this palette, and I have a couple more 24 pan palettes, but this palette is, I put this together and now I want to change it because it's very botanical and I want it to be a bit more rounded. So doing the swatching, I'm going to be able to make a new palette. And I bought this pan for my new palette. It is a 48 pan, half pan palette. And a lady on YouTube that I follow, Christy Rice, this is her, she has an Amazon store. So I went over there and I bought one of her palettes, and all of her palettes, she has beautiful botanical looks on it. I actually have not opened this yet. Let me open it so we can see what it looks like together. Isn't that beautiful? And it says happy painting on it. And so it's so nice to see a clean palette, but the pan's already in there, and it's just, I'll just exchange them out. Now for watercolor papers, outside of the big pads that I have, I do use Academy watercolor paper pad and Fabriano Artistico. This is extra white. The Arch paper, watercolor paper that I usually use, or Arches. I use the cold press paper. It has a cream color to it, and this is a nice white color. Really nice. I actually prefer this, which is probably $15 cheaper than this pad. This pad's close to $30. This is between $10 to $15. I do buy this off of Amazon, and it's Academy watercolor paper. It is 100% cotton. They both are, which is perfect for watercoloring on. 300 GM, and it's 5x7. Both of these are 5x7. If you're going to start watercoloring, if this is a medium you're thinking about getting into, I highly recommend this paper pad, just because it is so inexpensive. It is 100% cotton. Usually less expensive watercolor papers are student grade. They're made out of paper pulp or wood pulp and not cotton. So your watercolor pigments are going to just blend so much prettier, sit prettier on the paper when it's cotton paper. And then this is one of my first above student grade watercolor sets that I bought. This is Mission Gold. This palette came empty, and then I got a whole bunch of tubes in the set, and I just put some of the pigment into the wells, and I was able to split those tubes with another friend too. And when I can find a friend that I can split my supplies with, it cuts the price down, and I love sharing my supplies too. I'm not going to be able to use all of this ever, so whenever I get a chance to share or to split, it's a win-win for everybody. Now we're on the left side, and I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. I told you I like to chat So I am left-handed. This is my main drawer where I put the stuff that I use all the time. I have my acrylic blocks. I don't hand stamp too often, so I use these more to put on top of die cuts that I have glued together so they glue straight or glue flat. I also have my big scissors in here. They're both Tonic Tim Holtz. This is a spring action. I use this way more than I use these, but I do keep them, both of them, in my top drawer. I also have a Tim Holtz scraper. This I did buy to go with my glass mat, but I use this quite often, just especially on my silicone mats. My mixed media mats. This is a great way to get off the adhesive that is being tricky when you're cleaning your mats. I have a sanding block, which I use almost every time I'm sitting at my desk. And on the bigger die cuts, sometimes they have like little flakes of paper. I just quickly rub the edges with this sand block to get those little pieces off. My rulers, I have a 0 center ruler that I use quite often in videos. This is a Tim Holtz 0 center ruler. I have tried looking for this ruler on scrapbook.com and I do not think that they have this in that shop, but I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. This is a lifesaver to me. One of my most used tools. This is always out on my desk when I'm crafting. Again, more reading glasses, erasers, small acrylic blocks. These are the ones that I use the most because if the stamp is really small, then I definitely do hand stamp them. I don't want to mess with those little stamps in a MISTI. I have my anti-static powder bags that I use when I'm going to heat emboss, but I am a little lazy, so I don't heat emboss too much. Another ruler that I have in here is a T ruler. This is something that I don't use too often, but it's just one of those tools that I'm so glad I do have, because when I need it, it's right there. And I use that usually to draw lines when I'm putting balloons on my card bases or on my card panels. I also have a little baggie of needles and thread. My second drawer is more of kind of a junk drawer. I do keep rubbing alcohol in my second drawer, and this is what I use to clean my MISTI doors, get all the ink off of the MISTI doors, and then also I clean my scissors. It helps get that tackiness off of the scissors. This is what I keep my microphones in, and then my charging cable for my microphones. My colored pencils are in here, so I have my sharpener. I also have my mini ink pads in here. This is Concord and Ninth. I do have their full rainbow in mini cubes. I have a travel blow dryer in here for my DIY projects. And then when I do heat emboss, I mainly heat emboss white. So I do keep my white powder in a container. It's just easier than trying to do it over folded paper on a coffee filter. And the polychromos are my pencils that I use the most, so I do keep them in a pencil bag, and I have a really nice rainbow. Now this was my very first stamping platform that I bought. I got this at Joann's, and then I think like a month later, they were taken off of the market. So I only use, I bought it, it's not like it's from AliExpress or any of those. This was from a craft store. I do not use these in videos. In fact, I only use this to stamp the back of my cards with a stamp that I had made with my name and my website on it. And then I have a second set of pencils. I don't use this as much as I use the polychromos. These are super expensive pencils, so I use them sparingly. The pigments are really expensive, but both of these pencils are pretty light fast. So they're not going to fade quickly like cheaper pencils would. This drawer also is watercolors, but this is the drawer of if my daughter wants to watercolor, this is the drawer that she can pull from. So these are the less expensive palettes. This is a really nice palette to start with. Oh no, this is Daniel Smith. That is not a nice, that is an expensive palette to start with. This is a great palette to start with. I think I paid $20 for it, and I did do some color mixing, and the colors are they're pretty clean. I do also have the Alt New watercolor, and unfortunately, the only reason why I haven't gotten rid of this is because my daughter will be able to use it, but I don't know. I don't know if they put a white pigment in these colors, but I have a really hard time using this palette. My paintings usually come out really muddy looking, so I just stay away from that palette, but I am holding on to it for my daughter. And this is gouache, and this was gifted to me for Christmas a couple years ago. I do have saran wrap over it, and you can just reactivate the pigments with water when you want to use them. I haven't really played too much with this, except I did swatch them, and gouache is a lot better on black than on white because it is very opaque. So this is just a quick one layer of the colors. And then I also have swatches for my metallic paints, and that is these palettes, and these are really fun. And again, this is a palette that Vera uses quite often. She just loves putting colors on black watercolor paper. Oh, I also keep my ceramic palettes in here. I do keep them wrapped so they don't get dust, because I will reactivate those pigments and still use them, especially this one. I don't know why it got so heavy with this palette, but there is still a lot of pigment in there, so I will continue to use that. And then my last drawer are my storage, my pockets for my stamps. I have silicone bags for my cards. If I want to, I usually put my cards, once they're done, in one of these bags with an envelope, so they're ready to go if somebody needs a card, or it just keeps them safe. Now let's go through the island. So this is my new workspace, and I am really excited about this because I've been sitting while crafting, and I actually love standing and crafting. So I saw somebody putting together an IKEA island, I think last year, on Instagram, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's perfect for the craft room. So you can sit on the other side, and then on this side you have two shelves. I do have more stamps stored down here. I also have my adhesive basket, which is this right here. I have lots of goodies in here. I have a container that has room to grow. And this is all Greetery products in here. I also have a container when I want to work with something, or if I have a project that I need to get done soon, I will just throw the stamps and dies I want to use in this basket, so it's ready to go when I come down into my office. I usually craft really early in the morning, so I plan out what I want to do the day before. So in here right now, I have a couple Christmas products from the Greetery's new release. And then I also have a card kit. This is a Taylor Swift card kit that I found off of, this is Erin Lee Creative Taylor card kit. I think it was $50, but there's 3 or 4 stamp sets in it, lots of dies, and I've had a lot of fun creating with it. But everything that I made, I took to Sweden with me and gave it to one of my dear friends' daughters. So I need to make some for myself. I also keep my bigger stamps in here. This is another basket that I found on Amazon. So my wider stamps that I cannot store over here, I store in these bins. And then I also have my 6x6 papers. I have a lot more than this, but these are my favorites, so I keep them out. Honeybee stamps, always love their pattern paper. I have lots of Sunny Studio stamps. I love their tone-on-tone papers, and then their pattern papers are so cute, especially their Christmas papers. Love. So, and I actually have 2 of these as backups. On the bottom shelf, I have lots of really pretty boxes. Most of them are empty because I wanted to make sure I had a lot of room to grow into in this room. So I didn't fill up all the boxes. This one has just stuff that I would use for my treat boxes. This is a larger box, but this is the box that I keep all of my slimline stamps, dies, cutting boards, because it is so roomy. So I have all of my really big products that I cannot put out with my regular products. I keep stored in here. I also have an area dedicated just for Vera. So she has her little tins. She has her own inks, so she doesn't ruin my ink pads. I have been very generous with my supplies with her. So, you know, she's got her little containers that she has filled up. She's got lip gloss in here. Alice in Wonderland lip gloss, can't go without that. And then one last, I have two more of these bins down here full of stamps. Now this basket of stamps, most of these stamps are either retired or the company is no longer with us. So again, this is another bin of stamps that I don't know if I will use them or not, but I will never get rid of them. And I will keep them out because there's a lot of nostalgia in here for me. A lot of my first set of stamps are in here, or the stamps that I bought like in the first couple months that I started stamping. Ellen Hudson, whose store closed, but I did see she has an Amazon store, so that's great. But I have some like Neat and Tangled. There's some retired MFT stamps in here. And yeah, this is probably my favorite basket in my room, and I don't even touch it. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the top of my desk. I am starting to get flushed, so just bear with me, please. The top of my desk, I like to keep pretty clean. I have my oldie but goodie paper trimmer by Tonic. I do have two big ink holders, and again, I bought these at Stamp and Storage, or from Stamp and Storage, and also my Distress Oxide holder. Now, after I bought this, 12 new colors were released, so I'm not sure if they have made a new rack for with one more row. But what I did is I just pulled the 12 oxide colors that I don't really use, and I put it in one of my drawers. So when and if I do want to use like squeezed lemonade, I can just reach in, because that's just a color that I don't even know if I've ever used it. So that's how I have my Distress Oxides put up. And then I have my wireless speaker that I carry all throughout the house with me, so I can listen to my music or a podcast. I put my favorite ink pads at arm's length right in front of my chair. And this is Pink Fresh Studio inks. I just love Pink Fresh Studio dye inks so much. First of all, the pads are hard. A lot of companies have moved to the foam pads, which they're great, but they're really, really juicy. So if you have very intricate stamps, that ink kind of takes away the really delicate lines. Whereas with the harder pads, that really doesn't happen. When these inks dry, they just smooth out so beautifully. And these inks, I have yet to have one stain a stamp. So these are my go-tos, and they have a lovely rainbow. I did buy the second half of the rainbow that came out last year. The first round of colors that came out a few years ago, they actually sent to me. So that is my favorite ink family. And now next to it, I do have Concord and Ninth, it's one of my favorite companies, but this is the foam pads. So I don't reach for these as often as I do these colors. Over here, I have the Stamp Market colors, which again is a foam pad too, and then Tailored Expressions. These are hard pads too. I really like these colors, but they do stain really bad. They'll stain the stamps. So if I don't have the color over here, I will pull from here. Why do I have all the stamps out, or all the inks out? Because I spent a lot of money on the racks, and I think they're pretty. They're just really pretty wall art. So there you go. That's why I have so many ink pads on my wall. The last place to share with you is the closet, or what used to be the closet. So before this craft room, it was my son's room, who no longer lives here. He's down in Florida. So when we decided that this would become the new craft room, I did tell my husband, like, I don't need a closet. I don't want a closet. I want a little nook. So I told the contractor what I was thinking in my head, and this is what he put together. So there was no ceiling, low ceiling in this closet. It was all open because the furnace is on the other side of this wall. So we had a big vent that was, you just see it. It was not pretty. So I asked them if they can put a roof in for me. And then they put in a light. I had the cabinet built just so I have extra storage. I just can't grow out of this room. So any kind of storage I can get in here, yes. So we had the cabinets built, and then I asked, I wanted a butcher top, countertop. Now on the top of the counter, I do have all of my stencils. Excuse me, I have all of my stencils up here. I have my bigger, taller stamps for Concord and Ninth, Honeybee stamps. Now these are my favorite tall and big stamps that I have out in the open. Of course I have the Greetery, and then I have my bigger Concord and Ninth in the back. I have the Anna Griffin Impress die cut machine out also because it's pretty and it matches the wood and the wallpaper. This is actually a fantastic machine, and if you would like me to walk through my die cut machines, I can totally do that. Just leave a comment down below. I do have 4 die cut machines. I have 2 manual and 2 electric. This is one of them, and I'm a huge fan of it. It die cuts beautifully, and I can get a lot of work done with this machine. Now I also have pattern paper. I have the small A2 size pattern paper from scrapbook.com. A nice variety of their pattern papers. I also keep my big stamps for scrapbook.com up here. And I have lots of rub-on transfers. And then of course, more stencils. And then the 6x8 pattern papers I keep in this basket. We'll take a quick look at the large cabinet. This is where I have my other die cut machines, and then I have some baskets in the back. I also have more 12x12 papers down here, my Mink machine, and then look at this cardstock. So I had all that open cardstock over here. I have 2 rows of colored cardstock. So this is just one of 2 rows. And then I have lots of these scrapbook.com bags. When I do projects and I can't finish them, like these candy boxes, I just stick them in a bag and get back to them later. On this side of the cabinet, the top shelf is Vera's. These are the markers that she can use. I do have an old set of Chow Copics that I haven't touched in years, so those are Vera's. And then I have a big box of colored pencils that I bought years ago too. It's the Prismacolor colored pencils. When I got my polychromos, I actually was going to gift those, but I thought maybe I should hold on to them just in case Vera likes colored pencils. And I was correct, because she uses those pencils all the time. Now in this last cabinet, I have more empty bins. I'm telling you, I left myself a lot of room to grow. I also have my Scout in here. This is a small die cut machine that I can have on my desk next to me. The Spellbinder scrapbook.com Platinum Scout. And I have a hot foil machine down here. This bin I keep my background stamps, my red rubber background stamps, and then like just larger stamp sets. I do love Colorado Craft Company's big and bold stamps, especially when I'm watercoloring. They're so fun to watercolor. I also have, check out this old packaging from My Favorite Things. Do you remember that? The MFT roses. Oh, this background stamp is so stunning. This is what it looks like, heat embossed. And then I used pigment powders to color it. So these, again, these are background stamps that I haven't used in years, but I'm not going to get rid of them. So they will stay in here. The last thing to look at are the drawers, and they're very simple. I have my linens in here. I keep my charger cords. I have a couple books. This is the book that I was talking about in the watercolor drawer with the small palette. It goes with this book. And I found out about this book on Pinterest because I saw one of these color mixing charts. And I thought it was so interesting. So I clicked on it. I went to her website, found out that she had a book, and I ordered the book. And this has been so fun to like go through and learn and then be able to do my own color mixing, color theory. So I love this book. I'll leave a link to her website or to this book down below. I would check out her website first, and she does have a YouTube channel, which is fantastic. She swatches colors, and I can watch swatching watercolors all day long. I also have another book in here. This is Karen Campbell, another fantastic YouTube channel to check out. She's like the mixed media queen, and she's how I started getting into mixed media and DIY, because I learned a lot of tips from her, and then I was able to be able to take that knowledge and go beyond mixed media. So love Karen, love Jane. And then in this last drawer, I just have more blending brushes. I have the little brushes from Waffle Flower and Waffle Flower Crafts. And then of course I have my cutting boards for the Scout. One last thing before I end this video, I want to talk about the wallpaper. So I knew on this back wall, I wanted it to be not pink or white, and I was going to take a chance and do wallpaper. My husband wasn't really on board quite yet, but I had found several patterns that I really liked, but then I saw this pattern and I just stopped. I ordered a sample of this once it arrived, and I just saw it in person, these colors. There is a really beautiful texture, like bumpy texture to it. And I woke up the next morning and decided to buy a roll of it. So Brendan hung this up for me a couple nights ago, and I think he did a fabulous job. So thanks, babe. I was a nervous wreck while he was doing it, so he did a great job. In fact, he put together most of the furniture in here. So always appreciate that. Thanks, babe. That is going to finish this video. I did talk a bit longer, so I am not going to do the second part in this video, but I will have that one available soon. And not only are we going to go through the last of my baskets, I have this that I need to fill, because this is what I'm going to be keeping all of my tools that I need when I'm crafting for my island, because I'll be doing half of my crafting at my desk, but when I'm filming, I will be doing it at the island. So I do need to have my go-to tools. So I'm going to fill this up, and I'm going to talk to you about my favorite tools to use. So be sure to look out for that. Like this video, subscribe. I would love for you to join me again. That is all that I have for today. Take care, friends.